fine. We're getting ready to open the meeting.
Okay, sir.
Hereby call the Appomattox County Board of Supervisors meeting to order. February the 2nd, 2021. Welcome everyone that's in attendance. And at this time, we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance immediately following with the invocation. Let's pray. Our most gracious and heavenly Father, hallowed be thy name. We thank you, dear God, for the precious gift of life. We thank you for our community. We thank you for our county. We thank you for our country. We ask you to be with us during this meeting. Open our hearts and minds up. Give us wisdom to make the right decisions in this county.
The Bluetooth device is ready to pair. The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
Okay, Mr. Douglas Randolph, who is Vice President of the
Yes.
Area Veterans Council. Welcome.
Good evening to each and every one of you.
Thank you. Welcome to you.
I wish that I could join you, however, things aren't working out the way they should. But I'm the Vice President of the Piedmont Area Veterans Council, PAVC for short. And I'm coming to you to ask for support. We are a organization not like the American Legion or the VFW. We are a community engagement board called CBAP. We have here in our office, we have MOUs with the Vet Center in Richmond. And the Vet Center comes up, they do counseling. They counsel the veterans, the spouses, and all of the eligible children. We also have an MOU with the American Legion and have 3 veteran service officers on hand that does claims, that does everything for veterans. To include, we have a MOU with the workforce of Virginia, and it's a federal site. Now we are on the state on the Department of Veterans Affairs website under MYVA for the state of Virginia. We serve in all the counties, Appomattox, Town of Farmville, of course, and we do for all veterans, their spouses, their surviving widows, and eligible children. We provide in all services for them, to include making sure that they are taken care of medically and, if possible, financially. We are a non-profit 503c organization, and our councils we are all volunteers. We are asking Appomattox for their support because we support Appomattox, and Appomattox, therefore, there are over 1,400 veterans in Appomattox. That's not including their spouses, widows, or eligible children. Anything that we can do for the veteran takes the pressure off of the county. That is, they don't have to furnish or whatnot. We get it all done through the federal system. We are one of 6 what they call CVAPs. This is the second one starting in the state of Virginia. Our CEO is Ms. Sarah Maddox. She's and co-sponsor with her husband Ed. We work, and like I say, we have MOUs with Longwood College, which give free writing workshops to veterans to their spouses every 5 weeks. There's just so much that I could go on, and we will send you information later on about some of what we have done in the for this county of Appomattox. Would love for you to do it. To me, I am, as I said, I'm a Vietnam veteran, and in October, the military finally added on up to Vietnam veterans, and if they are needing help from their family or what have you, or if someone is taking care of, they are now doing caregivers paid to the ones that's taking care of our veterans. Therefore, it takes the cost off of the county. We would appreciate any support you give us because we, as a group, continue to work. You know, freedom isn't free, and our veterans, some have paid the ultimate price. Their families, and what I like for people to understand is when the veteran is in it, the family is in it. We thank you. Sorry that it's such a poor presentation, but had I been there in all, I just came back from bringing a friend from the hospital. I would have could have brought stuff to you. If you have any questions, you may call our office at any time, or I'm available 434-395-8029, and our office in Farmville is also available. Thank you very much for your time.
Well, Mr. Randolph, before you vacate the premises, let me ask the board if they have any questions for you at this time. So the floor
Yes, sir.
is open for any questions for Mr. Randolph.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I guess I'm going to have to research what this council does a little bit better, because in his initial description, he's describing services at the American Legion, the VFW, the Military Retired Officers Association, the Disabled Veterans, DAV, all them advertise as providing the same services. And so I guess I need more research into exactly what you do that's better than what they do.
May I answer that, sir?
Yes, sir.
May I answer that?
Yes, sir.
Sir, we have in our office, we have a person from the DAV. We have people from the American Legion, because these are the only ones in this area that's doing that kind of work. If you saw, we see somewhere between 400 to 500 people a week in that one office on Longwood Avenue in Farmville. The other ones, and I can speak from experience, when you come to that office, we follow them all the way from the beginning to the end, to include when they go before their boards, if they are denied for their appeals and all. I know what is on the television and what's being advertised, but as I stated, I am a Vietnam disabled veteran. I know who did what for me.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Randolph? Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hibbs.
Do you know how many Appomattox County citizens you serve, or how many veterans in Appomattox County?
Over 1,400. That's not including their spouses, their widows, or eligible children.
There are 1,400 veterans in Appomattox County, or are you saying, how many veterans does your organization serve? Is that what he's saying? He's saying that their organization serves 1,400?
No, they said that's how many veterans are in Appomattox County. But that's said how many.
How many veterans does your agency support in Appomattox County?
I don't have those figures in front of me right now, sir, but we could get those to you tomorrow or the next day.
Thank you.
Any other question? Just two, Mr. Randolph. One, what is your current budget?
What is my current what, sir?
Your current budget?
Right now, sir, we don't have we have approximately $30,000, and we furnish all the materials for the American Legion MOU that we have. We supply all of their paper. We're running through somewhere around a ream plus paper per day. We are furnishing the building for the MOUs with the Vet Center out of Richmond. We also furnished these computers and the area for the Workforce Center that does job applications. Right now, that information, sir, is at the office, and I'm not there at this moment.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine. Any other questions for Mr. Randolph? Well, we appreciate you talking to us, speaking to us, and hope you have a good evening, and we thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your time. Thank each and every one.
Yes, sir. All right. Sheriff, you ready? All right, come on board.
Good evening, everyone. I'd just like to begin by saying thank you for what you did for us this past year. I got compliments from everyone for the CARES Act bonus. That was much appreciated and very timely for the officers. And in addition to I think it was a 2.5% raise you all gave us last year for the low-end deputies, they really appreciate that. It may not look like a lot, but every penny counts, and these ladies and men, they truly appreciate everything you do. I'm not, as you can see in my narrative and my budget request, I'm not asking for a raise for them this year. I think I don't want to wear my welcome out, and I asked for a lot last year, but I do continue to want to see them get their salaries increased. I don't think we're going to get anything from Richmond. That's just my personal opinion, watching what's happening. It doesn't seem like they're really too concerned with deputy pay this year. There's a couple bills, I think, in the House. I don't know how far they've gone, but I didn't see where anything was getting a lot of traction. So I doubt if we'll get anything. If you see fit, if you see a place where you can help them out, particularly the low-end ones. You all have our budget, and you know where the salaries are, and the low end and the low salaries, we're still lagging behind, even around here. Within my budget, there's a couple spots where I will need to ask for an increase. In 3102-3005, the maintenance contracts, that's always an issue. We try to anticipate what cost will be in that. The biggest part of that is our data management system, Zerker, and it will go up. We don't know how much every year. I did a little over 2% there, asking from 25 to 27. That should cover most of those costs in that budget line. But there's other things in there that we pay different contractors and things out of, and it's hard to anticipate. So, I do like to put a little bit more in there each year just to cover the Zerker increase plus any other things. Also in 3102, the canine supplies. I do not currently have a canine dog. They're quite expensive. When the officer that had this particular dog, he left our department, and I'm just not in a position to replace it. It's economics and personnel. The dogs themselves are very expensive, and this is just a maintenance budget line. And that didn't cover the dog for a year, I don't think any year. So what I'd like to do is transfer that money into officer training. Just move it over, and then I can use that for some training opportunities. Hopefully, they'll open back up where officers can go to some schools. But even everything's transitioning online now, and you got to pay for that. So even getting online training is getting expensive. So I would like to put that in officer training. 5801, also in 3102, is dues and memberships. That's an anticipated increase. We have, the academy has, I don't think they're having a per-student increase this year, but the drug task force has rent, and they're going to increase. I already know that through talking to them. There's going to be some increase in that expense, which that goes under that category. So that, the reason for that is trying to cover it. And then the Department 3101 DMV, we're no longer using that grant line. The traffic safety program is covering that, so I'm asking to cancel that line. So that's all I'm asking for this year. So, but if you see fit, they'd love to have a pay increase.
Gotcha. Any questions from the board to the sheriff? Mr.
Mr.
Hinkle?
Chairman, I know, did I, under the understanding that under the CARES, you're getting computers and that for the cars?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Is that going to, at some point, cause an increase in like maintenance for the computers and that?
It will, the bulk of that, I hope, is covered in the $5 per ticket fee. So you all passed that back in December. We're going to get $5 for each speeding ticket written, and that's going to go directly into a fund that we can use to maintain this because we're using the e-tickets. And the officers know if they don't produce, I'm not going to continue to pay maintenance on a piece of equipment that they're not using. So, you know, it's going to take a couple of years to figure out where the cost is and is it self-sustaining. But yes, sir, there is a plan, and it will increase that cost, but we have a revenue fund to counter that.
Good to know. I knew you'd be on top of it. I just wanted.
Any other questions for the sheriff? Thank you so much. Thank you
Thanks
for
for your time.
what you all do.
Thank you.
Let's see, Mr. Wingfield's not present currently. Ms. Adams, I'll turn to you.
Okay, well, we can start looking at these departmental requests. If you want to start with the outside agency, we can talk about that. The only request we received for an increase from CASA. Do you want to go through this quickly and kind of get an overview, and then maybe at another meeting, come back with your recommendation?
I think it'd be a good idea.
Okay.
Time we can digest.
All right, so that top sheet is the outside agency request, and everything in red are for additional requests, increase or decrease. So if you do not see it listed in red, and there's a note to the side, we haven't received those requests yet, any additional requests. So they're not included.
So in our copies, it'd be the bold that's red.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's why I'm like,
Thank you, Mr. Hinkle.
yes.
Well, I'm gonna ask, I haven't found, what do you said you
All right,
going?
on this long sheet, Ms. Anderson,
Half by 11.
Oh, not, is this one, these four? Oh, okay.
it's the short one on top of the
Well-
legal.
Let me see if I got one. I might be slow, but I do bad work.
And don't look for the red column, because I was just informed you don't have it.
Nope.
Oh, bold. Okay, look for the bold column, and it's, you have FY '21 as your current budgeted amount. FY '22 is a request we received, and then the third column is the difference in the increase or decrease.
You know, a lot of these no requests received, but we anticipate these people asking, right?
Yes. Kayla's following up with them to see if they will be submitting a request. If they mailed it, we know what the current situation is with the mail system, so
Do you really? I'd like to know.
it's not good.
Mr. Chairman, you
Yes, sir.
started with CASA. I thought they operated on grants, even to controlling their own salaries, not us doing it.
You're exactly right, they do. They're grant funded, and if you'll notice, last year it's a zero. No local funds were put into that program.
Okay, that's what I thought, and they generally grant, and also, I'm correct, we don't control that salary, is that right?
No, we don't control
Okay,
anything.
thank
We do provide free office space, because that was,
All right.
yeah, in order to come into the county, that's what they requested, was free office space, and we have provided that.
Okay.
Should we be showing that as a contribution? That's okay, another question for another time.
We have, we'd show several as a contribution.
We have our special guest here, man.
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay. So we'll wrap up the outside agency. Are there any more questions on that while we're talking about that? And then we'll let Bobby.
Okay, Mr. Wingfield.
No questions on outside
No.
agency request?
Not at this time,
Okay.
at least not for me.
We ready?
Okay. Good afternoon.
Can I make a little comment about that? If you would like any kind of documentation related on this request, let staff know and we'll submit it.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. I didn't know if Kayla or Ms. Adams, did you have those, me pass these out, or what I turned in? Or
We didn't make copies, no.
do you want me to hand out copies for it to follow along?
If you'd like to, that'd be
I
great.
I can do that. All right. Might make it a little bit easier.
Yeah. Oh, I'll hand it out while you talk, whatever. Got my foot.
Oh,
Good afternoon.
Evening.
Basically, it's going to be, I got some budget expenditures on the equipment line item. And we can start from the top, but the top line basically is for the telecommunication. I want to jump ahead and saying, we're on Verizon. Our invoices now is Verizon for 911. And we're going to be transitioning to AT&T. We're going to go off copper, and we're going to go on fiber. This has happened all the way throughout the state, but they did a cost analysis for this, and in the packet later on in here, it gives a breakdown of what we are currently paying. It's around $1,444 a month. We're going to increase that to around $4,272 a month. But they will pay for 24 months. They'll pay for 2 years of it. But after the 2 years, we're going to be on the hook for those expenses. So that's going to be an expense in year 23, 24, I guess it is. Depends on what time we go over to next year. I want to say we're probably, I was talking to the Matt Garko, he's one of the GIS guys with Next Gen yesterday, and we'll probably switch over in about 8 months for us. Whereas I think Prince and Farmville, they should be switching over in the next couple months. It's in phases for that. CenturyLink is a little bit closer to going than it is Verizon. And the reason that we're a little bit late, and we could be a little bit later, is because of Motorola makes the equipment for Vesta, and Farmville takes care, they got their system a little bit newer. They're a 7.2 version, we're still 7.1. And we got to do some more infrastructure for that. With that, that segues down into the 37,592, where I has the line item, one-time expenses. I had that first, and that is the implementation of the integrated EZNet interface module. And that's the EIM and SMS. That's for the text messaging side. And that's going to be reimbursable with the state. But with that said, and I think it took me literally 6 months to get my money back on a $1,000 project I did with the state. So it's going to take a little while to get the money back, but we'll get the money back from that for the reimbursement. But we got to have it budgeted so I can spend it out. I don't want to have a big hole for that in there.
Well, you said we need to budget it, but you'll get reimbursed for it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Correct.
So that's a wash.
Yeah, that's a wash, but we just gotta have that bumped up. It's kind of like my wireless grants that I do. And we can put that in for a while, you know, when I had that line item for those projects. If you want to make that a project, that 37,000, you can, or you can just leave it in the equipment and supplement it back in once we get the reimbursement.
Can we pay that out of the current 911 designated fund if the money's going back into that?
Yes, you can do that too. We can
Okay, it
pull
wouldn't
that
be new
out.
money.
Yeah,
Okay,
we can pull that out and put that back in. Basically, what we did when we ran the conduit to put the fiber in, we had Henderson Electric, and the treasurer, Ms. Phelps, just got that $1,000-some in for that. And that, it literally took 6 months to get that back. But
Right.
you just gotta keep on staying on and watching it so it doesn't get lost.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Abbott.
All right, let me ask you,
Yes, sir.
if we can do that out of the 911, you've got, I'm looking at your second and third.
Mm-hmm.
Can we do that out of 911?
Yeah, the money is in that account, and we got more than
All right.
enough to cover
So
all that, no
It
problem.
isn't something that comes out of the general fund then,
No, sir.
okay? And it's something I assume, though, I haven't read far enough, but I
Mm-hmm.
assume those two are something you got to do.
Yeah, pretty much all of it. On the 4th, it's an option, we can do. If you know, the next one, the batteries, those batteries are 6 years old, they're going to 7, they're gonna fail. Once one fails, then it shorts out everything, so you don't want that to happen. So we need to go ahead and replace those. This is our 3rd time replacing them.
The batteries are your backup when the electricity goes out?
Correct.
So you're still up? Okay.
Yeah, that's what keeps us going. Everything in dispatch is ran off of that. I got the attachment in the back of the numbers, either 26 or 30 batteries in a battery bank. And that is my cushion between, I call house power, which is Dominion. My generator is over here for source number 2, and then my UPS. So I keep a clean energy supply to all my computers in my data room from that UPS. Because you ever put a meter on electricity, it's all over the place. It's always pulsating, going crazy. And a lot of people have power conditioners. They do somewhat of a job, but we put a 40 kV UPS in, and when it comes off the batteries, it's a clean, straight power for that. So that, in these big data centers, or Amazon, they do it on a scale that's unbelievable, but it's the same concept for them.
so it looks like we've got 488,000 in that wireless grant.
Correct, it's right, yeah, we just got some more, yeah.
Designated, so.
That's old, what they used to call 911 tax.
Yes,
You still, it's $3, is that what it is? I don't remember what it is.
Well, it's a dollar, no, I'm sorry, it's 75 cents a cell phone, but it on wireless, and there's so many cell phones out there, it just adds up, and it goes to the state, and they dish it out on a formula.
Per month or per year?
It's per month.
Yeah,
We get
okay.
that in per month. And they're gonna change it again, so it's gonna increase. Because of our call volume, it's gonna go up. It's another informational for the board. Don't have anything but this, but it's in the General Assembly that they're gonna increase it for behavioral health. And with that, they're gonna start a call center. And I don't know what they're gonna do with that part. But we do have some additional responsibilities gonna come down our way. It could be Marcusville, I can't remember, but the 911 call center is gonna have a responsibility in the future already. So it's just starting out. So it's just more of us from the state.
Just another mandate from Richmond.
It's gonna be an unfunded mandate that we're gonna have to do. And that's already been enacted from last year, we gotta do. That's coming up. Okay, so that's the first, second, and third. The 4th,
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Hinkle.
on number 2, you're replacing a Windows 2008
Yes.
server with a Windows 2016. Is there a update after the 2016? Is there like a 2018 server or a
now, they
2020
do,
server?
they just come out with a 2020, but the SQL Server, because with that, we gotta rerun SQL Server in the calls for that, and we're not up. ADS with NICE, that's not up with those yet.
So 2016 is
That's
the
the
newest
Right.
update that's compatible with our system.
Yes, that would take us in, and that will move us up because we're going to be doing, we're already doing text to 911, but we're doing it in a web base that we're not recording them. Intrado is hosting that for us. Intrado is also a partner with AT&T. It's all a big game. So when we do have a recording, we got to request those from them. We don't get a lot of text to 911. Occasionally, we do, and we're ready for it. But it's not an everyday occurrence that we do get that. But again, that's a June 1st of this year, we had to do it, and it's mandated by the state. And that's, once we work this in, it won't be on a web base, it'll be in with our 911 system. So the new recorder will do both, and it'll segregate both too and help us out. But with that, we're outdated. We can't even get, the current one, we can't get Windows updates anymore because they're not doing it anymore. So we got some good service out of it.
I follow up on Mr. Hinkle's question, that if you have outdated, do you need to wait till July 1 in the budget, or do you go on and take the 911 money and go on and buy it?
We can supplement it out. If Ms. Adams would like to, we can get that started because this current proposal is in process, it's in date, so we can sign that.
That's
you want to go
something we
with
ought to go on and do.
Yeah, okay. If we do that, that'll
and
save me.
That and the batteries.
Well, that'll save me money because I don't have to pay my maintenance service for the old system. If we sign the contract for this, we get the maintenance service free for a year. So that'll save us if we do that tonight. If you want me to, I would do that.
Do we have to do anything, make any motions, or you can just do that?
No.
I got money.
Okay.
The only motion you'll make is when we have to supplement the funds out of the 911
Okay.
into his budget.
Okay. And I assume we do that, if your batteries are old, we can do that with the batteries also. I mean, I don't know, you used to wait till July 1 to do the batteries if they're old, of course.
Mhm.
Ain't no sense going down, you're right.
If it's not coming out of the general fund.
It's not.
One-time spending is good. Continuing increases are bad.
Rest of the board, in agreement?
Agreed. Stuff you gotta have.
You're right.
The last is the mapping, and that system we put in the, I believe it was in the back, I think it was 2018. Yes, it was actually January 10th, 2018. We went live, well, with the invoice saying we went live with Farmville and Appomattox did a project together for that. And it's been very successful, but we're coming up on our 5 years, but that's going to be in December of 2022. We went with Zerker I'm sorry, Central Square now, and that's a very good mapping system. And we're going to have to start paying because I prepaid with a state grant for 5 years for my mapping. So we didn't have to have any maintenance service at all for 5 years. It's been no cost to the county. But we're going to have to pick that up, and it's going to be right at $18,000 if we do the same service that we have now. Because we have a contract with Computer Exchange, and they work off of a load balancer, and they look at both our servers. And we have a connection with Farmville. It's live all the time. And so Computer Exchange takes care of Farmville side, so we just have one vendor take care of the whole system. We have 2 vendors in there that start pointing fingers at issues. That was prepaid going forward. So, but the time has come, we're going to have to start paying out of our pocket. We can go with Central Square's mapping, and it's only going to be around $3,000, where the first year it's not even $2,000 for maintenance, $1,969, and that'll come up in the following year's budget. But I was thinking, if we do this, I wouldn't put this in, we'll put it in the budget, but wait till the latter part of the budget that we're going with. Because then I can get it in like May or June of '21. If I don't, we're gonna get invoiced in October for that amount for maintenance service on Geocom. And I don't think I'll be able to get my mapping in the July 1st of '21 to get it for the next year's budget.
So you need to spend 3 to save 18?
Yeah, well, I think we're not gonna, we can wait at the very end, but it's only that 6 months difference. Yeah, basically that's what it is. We'll have that one-time cost of that amount of, what is it, 21,334, that one-time amount there. And I won't have that $18,000 maintenance service bill if we currently have.
So gonna be spending the same amount of money either way.
Yeah, you're spending the same amount the first year, but the next year will be only down, but they're gonna go up 5%. That's what Central Square does. So we're gonna be up to 2,500 instead of the 18 if we keep Geocom. So we get the savings in the following year. We won't get the savings the first year. I'm looking the next year, 2 years down.
Does that new map give you some other abilities that you don't currently have?
No, right now with, the main reason Farmville does everything for Prince Edward County. The main reason we did that because the current technology is if you're down in Mr. Hogan's, and I just pick on Mr. Hogan's residence where he lives, he'll hit 911 on his phone, and it could hit the tower in Prince Edward County. And it would map him in Prince Edward, but he's in Appomattox. Well, because they're on CenturyLink and we on Verizon, they would transfer his call to us because it's our call. The location doesn't transfer. It's only his voice transfer. Because if he doesn't tell me, or the dispatcher doesn't say his address, but if he's out there bailing Hayes, on the back 40, and if we don't have that location, it's hard to tell him where to go. And what we did with this project is we have all of the mapping shared between both counties. So I can see their map, we can see their map. And so the crisscrossing lines doesn't matter. But when we go to this next gen, we're not going to have that issue because everything is going to be GIS on the phone, and it'd be just as good as Domino's. With Domino's app, it'll tell you exactly where you're at. It won't be on the other side of the line. So we won't need to be sharing it anymore. So technology is catching up to the commercial.
Bottom line is, Bobby, all these figures, everything you've talked about tonight, can all come out of the wireless fund and will be replaced as the new money comes back in.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I attached all the invoices that you can see and all the quotes, in the back, so with that. So it's not me bringing that number out the sky, it's documented with.
But it would
with the
show
quote.
an increase in the budget, but the money is there already.
Well, actually, we don't have to put it in the budget. What you would do is supplement it to pay the invoices, but it wouldn't become part of that appropriated budget.
Okay.
You just take it out of that fund.
Just like we do the carry forward funds and stuff, it doesn't count as part of the operational budget.
Okay.
Is that it?
That's it, unless you got any questions for me while I'm here.
Any members have any?
I think you did pretty good.
Mr. Ho, Mr. Lee?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank, Bobby for his due diligence and all this time placing 9/11 markers. I mean, I remember when I moved here, I was told that, Bobby Winfield was the guy if I wanted my marker out there. I think you've done a great job.
Yeah, I did put that in. I forgot to flip the page. If y'all want to discuss that, flip the next page too is an important page for me. That's a good segue, Mr. Hinkle just said. Basically, as I said in the short letter here, is that I've been tasked with COVID, just like everyone else has in this region. And we're doing everything we can for the residents to have it's called a point of dispersing. I call it distribution, but it's supposed to be dispersing, called a pod. And the idea is for us to, every Wednesday, we have it set up for the school teachers Wednesday, and that's gonna be our first round. And we've been in the VDH, Virginia Health Department, has 2 tracks, and basically one is for essential workers and one is for 65 and older. So they're splitting the cash or the shipment in between the both of us in the 2 tracks. So Appomattox, we're doing ours tomorrow. Campbell and Amherst is going to have theirs Friday. It's all local people doing this. There's no VDH at any of our parts. We're going to have a representative picking up the vaccine tomorrow. Coming back, the IMAX Rescue Squad is going to be giving the shots out to the teachers. The school staff is going to be doing the registration and also entering into the healthcare's data with that. So it's a Herculean task for us to put this on, and we intend to do this weekly until July, August, until it's been saturated that nobody else wants a vaccine. We want to have an option for the locals to go to instead of going to a mega site in Lynchburg. Now, the mega site is talked about for COVID, but that's going to be run by VDM, Virginia Department of Emergency Management. And I don't know where they're going to get the vaccine. I hope they don't take it from our cash, because we only get 3,050 a week. And we split that in half, and we got to divide that up amongst the counties. So it gets cut down pretty quick. But we're working on it, and the healthcare, VDH, is coming up with a new scheduling software. And that's going to be coming out on the 8th. They already got it. They're already using it, but they haven't released it to us. And hopefully, that is something that we can reduce, so get out to our residents in our district and through the state. And it makes scheduling a whole lot easier than what VDH is doing now. Because, you know, they're giving it to the pharmacies, they're giving it to your doctor's offices. And now we're just starting to give it to the communities. And I'm doing an outreach too to pull in, you know, hard to get folks. But they'd rather be more comfortable coming to a local high school than going to somewhere in Lynchburg when they don't have a healthcare provider anyway. So it's a lot of work going on. But with that, and plus with Next Gen, it's just my time is being consumed. And when you start putting these markers in, it takes a while. It's a drive time, putting it in, getting ready for the next one. You know, if you afford that $5,000, I would like to get a landfill guy or lady and whoever, and just train them so we don't have a new employee. But it just depends on, you know, what y'all's preference is with that.
Has that ever been an expenditure in your budget?
No, in the time before, what we did, when the previous supervisor, Ms. Rockefeller, was here, we did it, and I just used, I think Wanda, she did the expense, so she knows that. And we did it within the landfill part-time budget, because part-time there, you know, sometimes you had enough budget, it could cover it. Instead of transferring that money over to me to spend it out, they just kept it into the landfill budget and just spent it out of that, because they never did go over their part-time money for that. But what I did, I turned in the hours, or the employee did, but she sent me a time card to make sure yes, he did work 8 hours. And I said, yep, he worked 8 hours. And so it's a double check with that. So that way they just didn't turn in hours and Ms. McCormick paid them out for that. Is there anything else I left out for that? So I still got your emails from them.
Did they use your vehicle, or what did they?
No, well, we used the county vehicle. Actually, it was a little white truck, and we used that. And they didn't use the landfill, they used a little white truck. But with the new truck I got coming in, I mentioned that, we can keep the silver truck and let them use that. And because my vehicle should be coming in April or May, who knows when the Fords will be released.
We were
For
hoping
that.
to use that vehicle to replace some of our older vehicles.
Yeah, that's a 2005. So. That's a old one, man. But, or maybe a landfill, but you need a vehicle, so that, and those lights are already set up, we have to put new lights in. What I did, I purchased a yellow light for the white truck, and he plugged it up, because you need some type of amber light when you park on the side of the road, when you're putting these in. I already have that in with my vehicle. So,
Okay. So, Ms. Adams, you have any other questions for Mr. Wingfield?
No, I'll contact him.
Okay. Any other board member?
Thank you, Bob.
okay,
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bobby.
thank y'all, y'all take care.
Ms. Adams,
Yes, sir.
continuation?
Okay. So we didn't have any additional questions on the outside agency requests, so we'll look at the departmental requests now. And the only thing I listed, if there was a change from what was budgeted in last year's budget. So if you want to go down through the departments, or if you want to just look at it, if you have questions, reach out to us. There are a few differences in what was appropriated in the report you got, and did you want to address those, Kayla? Yeah, in your working budget, if anybody brought that.
Mine for the car.
Oh, I wasn't here at the last.
Oh, that's right, it's their fault, we didn't get you, I'm sorry. It's probably in our file. Anyway, we don't have to go through the entire thing, but if you'll notice, there are some discrepancies in the FY '21 appropriations, and some of that is our financial report captures any appropriations that took place throughout the year, so it gives it the total budgeted number, which is a difference, and that's what we've tried to correct on these sheets, with the true budgeted number. So if you have a discrepancy, it's because, number one, there was a care supplement or something else, that money was added as a one-time fee or one-time appropriation.
Where is the, it says C explanation under 4205.
Okay, she handed out some of that while ago. For the landfill? And you gotta give the,
That's right, the health increase.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Hinkle?
while they're searching for that information, I got one question on
Yes, sir.
7301-1003, part-time wages. What was the minimum wage increase? I was curious.
well, right now, that's pending because they said it may be extended. It was $9.50 in May, is what they originally said.
And see, I was completely under the impression that they had passed it and that was done. So
Right.
when you said that was the first I had heard that it had been paused.
Well, and the discussion's out there, and if that were the case, then that would change that request. That's only contingent upon if there is a minimum wage increase because of the employees that she currently
Does that
has.
come from the state?
And the last I read, it was in May, but now they're said it may be extended, and it may not occur.
Well, they're
This
waiting on the
year.
feds to make it 15.
What's that?
They're waiting on the feds to make it 15.
Yeah.
So you double that figure.
Thank you.
Then we'll have our $30 Happy Meals.
Yeah, yeah.
You-
Ms. Adams, on the treasurer,
Yes, sir.
on the 3002, would like to provide additional training to all employees, 5504, education and training from retired treasurer. What is that?
That's from the treasurer's office. She had talked with the auditor,
Uh-huh.
and she had it under professional services. I put 5504 because if you were to approve that, her request is for additional training, that would fall under 5504 and not this 3002. So that was my note, that if you approve the extra $2,000 for them to bring in the retired treasurer to train her staff, then it would be appropriated to line 5504 and not 3002.
So they're gonna bring Ms. Gillette back in.
No, it's not, no, it's from another locality. It was one that was recommended by the auditor.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay,
Because I thought, the way I read it was gonna be Ms. Gillette.
no, I'm sorry, no.
A retired treasurer.
A retired, sorry.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Poe.
No comment.
So this is only for, we will go through this at a later meeting and you'll say yay or nay. But these are the requests that we have so far, and we've received all departmental requests.
If there's anybody specifically that you see that you want the letter and any of the explanation of it, I can get that to you. You can get me copies of all of them, whichever one.
And I will say that we received good news. Our insurance, health insurance is going down 1.1%.
No,
Yay.
that's hard to believe.
Went down, isn't that great?
Yeah.
They had originally told us no increase, and then after they ran the numbers, I think it's 1.1, it would go from, it's a cost savings almost $5,800 for the year. Mhm. Well, yeah, that's how much.
I was planning on being through by 7.
So are you just leaving?
He whispered in my ear, he'll be right back.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that meant he passed the gavel. The General District Court Clerk, I see, is asking for additional monies again. Just to clarify, that's not a county office, and we don't pay their, we don't have anything to do with them
That's correct.
unless we decide we want to supplement them, but we had never have, and this would all be a change if we decide to start doing any of this.
That is 2102.
2102. The clerk, the circuit court is ours. We have to pay a lot of that. But the general district court is a state court. We don't have anything to do with it.
Right, the circuit court is, we pay their payroll, we supplement their salaries that are set by the state.
But the clerk of the circuit court does a lot of county work. You know, deeds, wills, you know, things of that nature, whereas the general district court is just small claims and misdemeanors and traffic. So I guess, anyway, that's enough about that.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask if we're talking about that? I don't remember us supplementing the extension service. I see they requested it. I think they requested last year, but have we done that in the past?
We fund them, if you notice in the first column, that was what we funded them last year. And we pay a percentage of their expenses I think it's actually
Okay.
mandated.
Oh, I see. We put it, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So it may be helpful if we start at the beginning, and I'll go through and notate anything that I feel like that is important to bring out right now.
Start with 101, 1101.
1101, and we talked about the Commissioner of Revenue has just asked for an increase for her employees. And that's basically a 2%. But usually the board determines that for all the departments, so that's why I left TBD in that. She did ask for an increase in part-time wages. There was no explanation. Just, I think that's probably been every year, maybe they asked for that. Treasurer, we talked about her request. She had the same thing with the increase in her employees. Postage increase, they are doing more mailings because of COVID. I don't necessarily think, based on what they've spent so far this year, that it would need 5,000. I'm thinking more like 1,000 would probably cover that. But that would be up to the board. The electoral board and the registrar, we need to discuss that in length. You have some paperwork with several proposals on there with the no excuse voting. They want to either renovate their office or look for a satellite site because of space. They're planning to come and appear before the board and talk about what they can or can't do based on state guidelines. But I've sent a list of questions to them today to answer prior to us scheduling that meeting based on their request.
What, Mr. Chairman, if I
Yes,
might.
sir, Mr. Evans.
What we are doing, what we've done then is supplemented what the state gives them, is that right?
That's correct.
In other words, when you're looking at official wages, we paid last year 26. Obviously, they had more than that.
No, that's on the electoral board,
I'm sorry.
yes. And then we pay their full salary for the registrar, the full-time positions. And they get money back, they get a percentage of that back from the state. I think they've been reimbursing like 60% of the total salary. A lot of this part-time, the part-time we don't, they only send a determined amount, like $2,500 or something for part-time salaries to supplement or offset their expenses.
Well, when they get reimbursed for the salary, we pay the full salary. Does that reimbursement come to us or they keep it?
No, that reimbursement comes to us,
Okay.
yes. And the state sets their annual salary, the registrar's annual salary. It's sort of like the comp board, they set the salary and we fund it. Okay, any questions down? We're at the circuit court judges, and that was only for law library, whereas usually when they have an expenditure, we'll just do a supplemental appropriation and the board will take action at a meeting to put it back into that law library fund. They were just suggesting to offset those supplements that we would consider increasing that amount that we put into it.
I'm not sure that I still understand the concept of the law library and exactly who gets to use it and where does that money come from?
You know, I'm not quite sure if I can explain it either.
We don't have to do it tonight.
I will find out.
Have Ms. Jana come in and explain.
Yes. I think it's anyway.
'Cause we supplement money back to it almost every month.
Yeah, it's from the law library fund, which They have, I know they get state funding from what they call a technology fund, which pays for some of these expenses, and then I think some of this may be part of the fines, but I'm not sure what portion.
So it's not necessarily local money.
It's not necessarily local money, no.
Okay.
Okay, General District Court, are there any questions about those requests this time? Like Mr. Abbott said, we don't fund their salaries or part-time wages or any of that. None of that runs through our payroll at all. You notice the next few departments, no changes requested. Commonwealth's attorney, he had a couple of items. He had an increase because of that new case management software that they purchased last year, so that increased that amount for the maintenance of it. The office supplies, just due to increased usage was the only explanation that they put. He reduced travel mileage, convention education, and dues and membership. So overall, it's a $900 difference in his budget. But he does have some CARES funding left over. We won't know what that exact amount is until June, but he had allocated $99.04 to that line item from CARES money, and he spent $95.25 to date. So I anticipate most of that will be absorbed between now and June. The domestic victim grant is located in the Commonwealth Attorney's Office and works with the Victim Witness Program. All of her expenses as far as salary is state grant funded. This was an additional stipend that he had allocated for her to oversee the CARES program in their office. So she is currently getting $250 per month stipend for the CARES program. As the sheriff mentioned, 3101 DMV traffic control grant, that grant is no longer in existence, so the monies that were in that you'll see in your budget, in your old working budget, that zeroes out. And the sheriff request, he mentioned those, we deducted from the K-9 supply line item to put into the education and training. So his budget reflects an increase of $3,500 is his total request after we subtract the $2,000. Sheriff, school resource officers, DARE program, volunteer, all of those, no changes or outside request. So we'll move down to 3606, Mr. Wingfield. These are the things that he was talking about, which will change some of those numbers if we're going to take that out of the wireless grant funding. So we'll make the adjustments and bring that back. The landfill, convenience centers, I think you have an explanation. A lot of it's equipment, and I'm thinking that some of that we will be able to fund out of the current budget with money, unspent monies.
Well, Mr. Chairman, in reading it, he seems to be requesting, I don't know, number 7, wants a skid steer and a trailer and a new truck to pull it with, so it can help you move snow around there. Do the maintenance need that?
Now, I was thinking that when that maintenance to his current equipment, I don't have that.
I was just reading, that one, the last, number 7, is wish list.
Oh, okay.
Is he expecting global cooling now, so we have more snow?
No, I think as far as snow removal, we've got good equipment unless we have a blizzard.
You want to talk about snow removal? When you leave, you have to like count the number you've got every time.
I know, yeah, the school has, is it
That
7?
seven has got blades on it.
Clouds on them out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I will say at some point in time, and that's what we were looking at when we were talking about Mr. Wingfield's truck. His is four-wheel drive, the landfill doesn't have four-wheel drive trucks, so we were hoping to swap out some of the old unusable trucks that we've got and utilize that, so that's why I was a bit shocked.
Well, you don't need four-wheel drive to go put up, a
Marker.
911 marker.
Yeah, so maybe we could swap those vehicles and give them two-wheel. Because they do have to go back, they have to go back on the backside of landfill property every day and check that pond. What do you call the pond?
Retention pond?
Retention pond, but it's, leachate pond.
That one has a fish in it that only got one eye and.
Yeah.
I think it's a Loch Ness Monster. I don't know.
We may be able to buy some of this stuff you said with leftover funds out of this budget.
I think some of these repairs, I will say with some point in time, you might want to visit down there. The equipment is rather old that we have to use pushing those brush piles back and, because they wait till they come in and do the grinding once a year, and that's about $20,000. So we have to keep making space when people bring in brush. They bring in a tub grinder, that's what it is.
What do they do with the stuff they grind?
Give it away. I mean,
Well, let me ask you, I've looked through these and I have quite
Uh-huh.
a few, but are we gonna get your recommendations on them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what we really, in my opinion, we address it when you make you'll make a recommendation. I mean, on all four of these sheets.
And it's kind of difficult right now, without the state
Yeah.
numbers and the school requirements, it's hard to put it all together. So that's why I didn't want you to be surprised if somebody approached you and said, oh, I requested such and such, and you never saw
Oh, I said Susan told me not to do it.
it.
That's right.
I'll get the blame anyway. So that's basically why I want to make sure that you know what they've asked for, and then we'll discuss later what that recommendation is. Now, there is one good note, if you're looking at debt service, that is 8103. You've done a really good job of managing that and getting that payment down, and this year it dropped $280,000, and that's because you paid off the water line, and then the town water sewer project, FY '21 was that last payment that we owed on that.
Sweet.
Beautiful.
One step at a time.
In paying that, we are guaranteed capacity, right? We have a contractual agreement on capacity, let me say that.
Yes. And that is a conversation that we'll need to have at some point in time also. The special projects, if you noticed, that's been funded for the last few years. It's been a board action. We know that they committed to 10 years based on board's approval, so we went ahead and put in that incentive payment to be paid out to Kojana. And that's 10 years at $25,000 a year, so. Well, I think she said she's not quite ready for that, and I'm not sure if I'm ready to explain, probably to the extent until I look at what she gave me tonight. So she's learning. This is her first rodeo. She's learning about how we work on the budget. Social services, they have asked for an increase of $16,117 in local funding. And I'm trying to get the report from the state to find out what the recommendation is as far as state versus local. And I believe that's it, unless you have questions.
Chairman,
Mr. Abbott.
are you ready for a motion?
I am, Mr. Abbott.
I'm a move we rise.
All right. That's the best thing I've heard tonight.
Yes, grab pizza. Pizza, pizza, pizza. And that's
I'm gonna leave y'all my.
budget where you
I know.
do a supplemental
I looked at that.
I told Bill, I said, gotta go down the rail, y'all, unless he likes pizza. I mean,
Yeah.
I
So
know.
when you were,
Yeah.
she's making that request, but we're not paying that.
Huh?
See you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Right, advertise, that's right.
Yes.
And that's located in the church's budget. And that's to offset the supplements in library. funds.
Mr. Hinkle,
And then this one is.
it's 7:13.
That one is general
We close.
report, where we were talking about, we don't ever pay any of their salaries, it all
Right, and
goes
that-
through.
I forgot who was on.
And that's what I
your
was
board, man.
asking, so zero.
Who was on
here,
your board?
8,000 here. So you're just accounting for the,
Becky Henderson.
Yeah, FY, that's
mine.
what was appropriated, and this is what they're